All right, lymphocytic colitis. What is it? What are the symptoms? And what can you do about it? So today we're going to dive into all of that. My name is Ashley.
And I'm Danielle.
And we're the Crohn's and Colitis dietitians. We're here to make nutrition less conflicting and more fun. All right, so what is lymphocytic colitis? So lymphocytic colitis is a type of microscopic colitis. Microscopic colitis is a type of IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. So we mostly hear a lot about Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, but microscopic colitis is still considered under the umbrella of IBD, and it's diagnosed through as the name sounds, a microscope. So looking under a microscope, they're seeing inflammation, even though it's not as outward through the colonoscopy process. So it can be lymphocytic or collagenous colitis, but both are under that same umbrella of microscopic colitis. So some symptoms of microscopic colitis, let's dive into that in terms of how it looks different than Crohn's and UC.
Yeah, so a lot of the symptoms may be similar with the abdominal pain, weight loss, fatigue, an urgency to have a bowel movement. But I would say, based on chatting with people with microscopic colitis and looking at the literature around it, is that urgency seems to be a lot more present in those with lymphocytic colitis, especially like the very watery diarrhea and often at nighttime, or what we call nocturnal diarrhea. It will also not often be bloody diarrhea. And those are the big defining factors. There, unfortunately, is another symptom of that fecal incontinence, not being able to make it to the bathroom in time because the urgency is so intense.
Yeah, and we don't see bloody diarrhea as much because it doesn't affect the deeper layers of the colon like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis does, but it can still really impact your quality of life, especially if you're having, more than 5 bowel movements a day. Some of our patients will have upwards of 10, 20, 30 when they start with us times per day, which can, as you can imagine, can significantly affect your quality of life as well as your electrolytes. So there's a number of different areas that really need some support. And the great thing about microscopic colitis is that we've seen it be very responsive to nutrition therapy as a way of treating it. Unfortunately, with medications, there really aren't as many start off options as, say, with Crohn's or UC, where there's a lot more people diagnosed with it, and so there's more research and more medications. Whereas with microscopic colitis, generally people will start with something like budesonide. Your GI might start with that. So, yeah, that is unfortunately the case with microscopic colitis. However, as far as nutrition goes, some things that we know about microscopic colitis and specifically lymphocytic colitis is the rates of celiac are actually higher in this category. So some are diagnosed with celiac first, others microscopic colitis, but it is important that if you were diagnosed with one of those, that you test for celiac as well, because the rates are just higher.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things too, because I had this experience myself. When it comes to celiac disease, the gold standard is to get a biopsy of your intestines. If you are already getting a colonoscopy to determine if you have lymphocytic colitis or not, they may as well do an endoscopy at the same time. It's a good 2-for-1 to not have to go back in there months down the line.
And as far as nutrition goes, I mentioned that it's very responsive to nutrition therapy in my experience. We're going to link to a blog that we did just covering the basics about what nutrition can look like, but it can get a lot more specific than that when you're working with a dietitian that's specialized in it, because you can get more of a customized plan. So if you need support in that area, please reach out. You deserve support, you deserve help with someone to walk you through, especially if your diet is very limited and you're, maybe limited to 5 or 10 safe foods. Reach out. That's our specialty. We love helping people expand their diets and helping people feel more safe with food and have tools for reducing their symptoms. I mean, that's the key, right? Because if you can decrease your bowel movements from 10 a day to 3 a day with nutrition strategies, why not, right? So there's lots of hope in that regard with microscopic colitis. So yeah, if you need support on that, reach out. Take care of yourself. You deserve it. And thanks for listening.